Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all. We will formally open this meeting of the Illinois Board of Review for today, Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Before we get into the details of today's hearing, I want to just advise everyone that you've been muted because we need to make certain that there's no background noise or distractions while we're getting through our preliminary matters. Secondly, before we hear individual cases, we will ask the law department via one of its attorneys to tell us which cases have been already resolved, either through continuance requests, agreements between the parties, or withdrawn. And to ask you to pay close attention. If your matter is identified, your address or your name, and is listed as moot or moot complied, that means that your matter has been resolved. If you need an explanation of those terms, please call the department. There's a phone number, should be on the letter of email that you've received inviting you to this meeting, that will give you a number to call. Please call them and say to them you need to understand what those terms mean. Principally because we are such a long list, we don't want to continually stop in the middle of the hearings to explain something to them for a matter that's been resolved already. We'll need to hear it twice. So thank you for your patience and your cooperation. Please note that we are being recorded both by Zoom as well as our court reporter. So please, one person speaking at a time. Only one person speaking at a time. If you're in your vehicle, please stop. We can't hear your case if you're driving. That goes to both appellants, witnesses, and any other individuals involved in the case. Secondly, please be prepared for hearing. This is a formal hearing, so you can't be in bed, you can't be reclined in your sofa, or you must be dressed properly. If you are not dressed properly and you are asleep or reclining in your bed, we will not hear your case. We need you to participate as if you are in a courtroom. Thank you very much. And those of you who have attorneys representing you, please pay attention to the directions you get from your attorney. Thank you all. Okay, let's, with the board itself and other panelists, we'll introduce ourselves to you, after which we will hear from the city law department. Kenneth Woodson, board chair.
Ralph Pincus, board member.
Steve Pettit, board member.
Roger S. Tennant, senior board member.
Ken Washington, board member.
Ryan McSherry, board counsel.
Richard Wade, board administrator.
Thank you very much. I believe that's it for today. Law department, who's going to be speaking from you today?
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the City of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Ms. Skiles. What do you have for us?
All right. I have a number of cases. I'll read through what I have, beginning with number 2, HA 2022-004270. The address is 6022 North Phillip Street. The appellant is Sherry McCullough. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Yes. Moving on to number 4, HA 2022-004315, 1801 North 59th Street. The appellant is William Hannum, doing business as Brick House LLC. That matter is moot as well.
Moot, thank you.
Number 5, HA 2022-004251, 2544 Jasper Street. The appellant is Pusadi Bunchun. The appellant and the city would be jointly requesting a continuance for today. We believe we can resolve the matter. We just need a little more time to do so.
Okay, so noted that matter will be continued.
Moving on to number 6, HA 2022-004197 at 4811 North Camac Street. The appellant is Felice Walden. That matter is moot.
Thank you.
Number 7, HA 2022-004253 at 656 Allen Grove Street. The appellant is James McQuaid. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Moving on to number 10, HA 2022-004308 at 7900-7922 Fairfield Street. The primary appellant is Fairfield Apartments, 2014 LP. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Moving on to number 11, HA 2022-004314 at 1219 West Butler Street. The appellant is 1219 West Butler Street, LLC. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 13, HA 2022-004287 at 3030 Page Street. The appellant is Michael Williams. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Number 14, HA 2022-004303 at 305-309 North 12th Street. The appellant is 305-309 Investment Company, LLC. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Moving on to number 17, HA 2022-004047 at 7823 Bradford Street. The appellant is Gail Mizrachi. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Moving on to number 18, HA 2022-004137 at 1817 West Godfrey Ave, sorry. The appellant is Gregory Fuller. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 19, HA 2022-004102 at 9812 Brittle Street. The appellant is Guijo George. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 22, HA 2022-004081 1913 South Norwood Street. The appellant is Donald Terry. The city had made a request to have this transferred to the Board of Building Standards as it involved unsafe violations.
Yeah, I believe according to our records, this matter was listed in error for today's hearing.
Yes, okay.
So we'll note it as listed in error.
Thank you. Okay, so then moving on to number 26, HA 2022-004064 at 2733 North 46th Street.
We didn't hear the first part of your statement, so would you mind repeating it?
Yes, number 26 on the list, HA 2022-004064 at 2733 North 46th Street. The appellant is Marie C. Fitzpatrick. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
For number 28, HA 2022-004148 at 1720 Reed Street. The appellant is Mary Mock. The appellant had submitted a continuance request to the board, and the city has no objection to that.
Okay, we'll note it as continued.
Number 29, HA 2022-004254 at 262 East Gerard Street. Eva Conway. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Number 30, HA 2022-004166 at 201 to 227 Shawmont Ave. The appellant is Kevin Datesman. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 31, HA 2022-004355 at 1601 East Washington Lane. The appellant is Tyra Washington. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 32, HA 2022-004120 at 6613 West Gerard Avenue. The appellant is Richard Simpson. That matter is moot complied.
Complied, thank you.
And then number 33, HA 2022-004384 at 17 West Willow Grove Avenue. The appellant is Suzanne King. That matter is moot complied.
Move comply, thank you.
Number number 34, HA 2022-004222 at 5713 North 4th Street. The appellant is Audrey Morak and Valentine Morak. An agreement has been reached in this matter, and it was forwarded to the board on Friday. One of the violations will be complied. The other violations will be marked city affirm with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
City affirm 90-day stay of enforcement. Okay. All right, thank you. We will vote on that matter. We poll on the board on HA-2022-004222 5713 North 4th Street. Audrey Morak, Valentine Morak, city affirm per agreement, 90-day stay of enforcement.
City affirm per agreement with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed per the agreement with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed per the agreement with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed per agreement with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
Thank you very much.
And then I have number 38, HA 2022-004730 at 6022 North Phillip Street. The appellant is Sherry McCullough. That will be an agreement for a city affirm with a $300 fine.
Okay, so it's a city affirm per agreement at $300 fine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We will call the board on HA-2022-004730 6022 North Phillip Street. Sherry McCullough, city affirm per agreement, $300 fine.
City affirm per agreement with a $300 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $300 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $300 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with a $300 fine.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any information to share with us before the board raises a few matters? Mr. Rauter?
Thank you, Leonard F. Reuter for the city of Philadelphia. Regarding appeal number 25 on the list, HA 2022-004171. The address is 1401 South 10th Street. The appellant is Fakar Ali. And they were represented by David Orphanides, who sent an email to the board indicating that he was withdrawing representation of the appellant on the basis that the vending card at issue had been sold. I have since so the withdrawal of appearance by itself would not resolve the case, but we have in fact confirmed that the vending cart in question was sold, and presumably Mr. Fakar Ali no longer has any basis to appeal this case. So we would ask that it simply be marked, that the appeal simply be marked moot.
Okay, so we will note that matter is moot. Thank you. Anyone
Thank you.
else? Anyone else?
Um,
Okay. Who's
Jeffrey-
speaking?
This is Mr. Wade. Jeffrey Cohen is in a breakout room for a different matter, but he may or may not have something to read onto the record when he comes
Actually,
back.
Mr. Wade, I am back out of the breakout room.
Oh, okay. Mr.
This
Cohen,
is-
what do you have?
This is with respect to number 23 on the list, Mr. Laston Kafutwa. He is on a phone in the basement of MSB right now. He has told me and told Blur's administration that he doesn't have the capacity or capability to do a Zoom hearing. What I'd like to do is ask the board to continue this matter, and if the board could please provide some Zoom facilities so that at the next hearing he can participate. I think it's important, and the board has noted that it's important that people be visible on camera when they're giving testimony. I think it's also important that he get an opportunity to see the exhibits packet, which I don't believe he's received so far.
Okay, I would ask Mr. Cohen, what's the nature of the violation? Is it an active
It's-
project under construction and that sort of thing?
Yeah, as of October 2022, there was a massive interior renovation ongoing at that property at 2227 North 4th Street. And I believe that there are still no permits for that renovation. And that's the city's contention, that there need to be permits, building permits, electrical and plumbing for the renovation
Okay.
that's occurring.
Okay,
Has the work stopped?
The last indications that I have were several months old, I think, because it's, you can't just barge in and open a door and see what's going on. The indications that I have from Eclipse more recently show that no permits have been applied for, or sorry, no permit applications are still pending. There were some applications that had been filed and they had since been marked expired.
Mr.
Okay,
Cohen,
so
you have a representative from the department as a witness today to verify anything?
If Inspector Robert Curran is here,
okay, but one thing we can't do, because the appellant isn't with us, we don't want to hear any facts of the case. We just want to determine sort of the nature of the case so we can determine how to respond to the continuance request. Okay,
well,
So-
if the board would like, we can ask Robert Curran to at least confirm what the city's attorney has discussed. Otherwise, the city is putting forward its position as permits are required for this project.
okay, and I guess one last thing, and this is something that we may need to discuss off the record. But if an appellant is engaged in a extensive renovation project, it's a little difficult to understand why they can't access Zoom and other social media. That's a bit of a puzzle for me.
Mr.
Well,
Wilson, they are on the hearing.
Oh, okay.
Well, they are participating from a phone, from speakerphone in the basement of MSB, the concourse level.
Okay,
So
right.
I don't know if that's full participation in the board's eyes, because there's no screen to see any of the
yeah.
video.
I'm
that's
just,
being
I'm just
projected.
saying I'm having difficulty understanding why a screen isn't possible. That's all. And so the issue is you requested a continuance. Is this the first continuance request for this matter?
I think this is the first hearing for this matter. So yes, I
Okay.
think this is the first continuance
Okay.
request.
Well, what we will do then is request that he provide access for himself to gain access to a screen. This is not an indigent situation where someone doesn't have the capability or ability to use a screen if they've chosen not to. So he's going to have to do that rather than the board itself trying to figure out a way to accommodate it. So that's where we are. We'll continue it, but he has to figure out a way to get access to a computer, go to the local library, do what he ever has to do, borrow someone else's computer. And computer laptops are relatively inexpensive these days. Okay? Mr. McSherry, if you want to contradict me, you may.
No contradiction with that statement, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Thank you,
Mr.
members of the
Cohen.
board.
We'll continue this matter. Thank you. And
If I could
the appellant
actually,
heard us, he should understand that we want him to figure out a way to gain access to screen time.
if I could actually ask, because I jumped in from a breakout room.
Okay.
Is the board going over Moots disposals agreements?
Yes,
Then I have another agreement for the board's consideration at this moment.
okay,
Case number 1, this is Alexander Pancheri, who is represented by John Kiefel, who's here on screen.
okay.
Good afternoon,
Before
everyone.
Yes, Mr. Kiefer, would you put your name on the record, please, and spell your last name?
Sure. John Kiefel, Kiefel, for the appellant, Alexander Pancari, doing business as Pancari Contracting LLC.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Cohen?
We submitted an agreement by email to Mr. McSherry and Mr. Wade earlier. But essentially, the agreement is that the city will be affirmed and the city agrees to reduce the fines that are imposed to $500.
City firm, fine $500. That basically it? Or do you want the language reduced fine to $500?
Either way, the language is in the agreement itself.
Okay.
But for the purposes of the board's record, however the board wants to represent it.
Okay, thank you. We will then poll the board on HA-2022-005141, 3701 North Broad Street, Alexander Pancari, city affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
very
everyone.
much, members of the board. Thank you, Mr. Kiefel.
Thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank you,
Cohen.
sir.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good afternoon. Okay, the board does have a few items it'd like to bring to the group's attention. The first item is number 8. HA 2022-004332, 735 South 10th Street. Carol Mickey, who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter, Senior Attorney for the City of Philadelphia.
Okay, our records indicate there was a continuous request and wanted to get the response from the city law department. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
I don't recall getting that. Let me check.
And the counsel for this appellant is Don Tancredi. Is Ms. Tancredi present or someone representing that law office?
I do not see Ms. Tancredi. It's a first request for continuance. I wouldn't have any objection to it, but I'm just checking to see. I assume that would have come from Ms. Tancredi.
Yes.
I think Phil sent it to you.
All right. Well, in any event, I wouldn't object to the first request. It does not involve a safety issue. So,
Okay, so we would note it as continued.
Thank you.
It's a continuous request from the appellant. Okay, thank you very much. The next matter is number 20, HA 2022-004071, 461 Seville Street. And actually, there's number 20 and 21, 461 Seville Street. The appellant is Aprita McGrath. Who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, board members. Jim Kelly on behalf of the city.
Mr. Kelly, good afternoon. The issue here is a matter of standing. Our records indicate that Aprita Patel is the rightful owner. And if that individual is, I do see a Miss Aprita McGrath. Ma'am, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? You swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. We just want to clear up something because for the moment it's a matter of standing. Are you the same Aprita Patel?
Correct. Patel
Okay.
is my maiden name.
Oh, Patel is your maiden name? Okay, thank you. Now, this particular property, whose name is on the deed?
Arpita Patel. It is myself with my maiden name.
Okay, that's the only name on the deed. Okay, thank you. Mr. Kelly, we're just concerned that we confirm the actual owner and we will call this matter in due course. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Ready? And that represents all of our questions. Is there anything else from anyone before we get started? Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Wade, would you call the first matter? I think that's number 3, unless there's a request to go out of order.
I have no request at this time. We'll start at the top of the list. Case number 3, hearing appeal HA 2022-004255, 2604 South 2nd Street. Man Kai Se.
Okay,
Good afternoon, Dejanae Davis on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Ms. Davis. Do you have a witness today, Ms. Davis?
Yes, I do. The city would like to call Inspector Sean Howard.
Okay, I just want to get him sworn in, and then we'll call on the appellant. Mr. Howard, are you present? Mr. Howard, Sean Howard. Okay,
I see he's trying to get set up a bit.
okay.
Hey,
All right,
His
there you go. Mr. Howard, unmute yourself, please, and adjust the screen just a bit so it's the top of your head is cut off, so you can adjust your screen just a bit. Thank you, sir. Please raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter to be the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the appellant is Man Kai Z. If you're present, we'd like you to speak up.
Hi.
Hello? And your name, sir?
Mankind. She.
Mankind Z. Okay. There's someone else on the screen with you, so we only need one image at a time because it makes it a little hard and a little distracting. Sir, if you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter be the truth so help you God?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Now,
Mr.
let me,
Mr. Ch-
before we proceed, now just for just one moment, Ms. Davis. Before we proceed, Mr. C, is there any language issue here? Do you fully understand and can communicate English?
He's not too good with English. I'm here to translate. I'm his son.
Okay, your name, sir?
Wei Z.
Okay, so that means this. We can't have you translate in an official formal matter. We can only use licensed official translator, professional translator. So if he needs a translator, we're going to have to continue this matter to get it translated. Ms. Davis, any response to that issue?
I have no objection to that, Chairman.
Okay, what language does your father use?
He speaks Chinese, or specifically Cantonese.
Cantonese. Okay, we will. You should put a request in for a Cantonese translator. Mr. Wade, the administrator's on the Zoom call now, and he will note that for the record, and we will reschedule this with a Cantonese translator. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when we do this, your father will have to be the main spokesperson. He can't be assisted by someone else. Okay? Unless it's a lawyer. All right. Thank you. So please note for the record that this matter is being continued to acquire, secure a Cantonese interpreter.
If I may, Ms. Davis, is this something that could be talked about in a breakout room?
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Okay. Before we officially continue it, let's see if there's something.
Actually,
Okay.
I would prefer that we be able to discuss with an interpreter. I want the appellant to be aware of, if we do enter into agreement, of all the terms of that agreement.
Okay. So we'll continue for the interpreter.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if possible, when the interpreter is there at the next hearing, then we can enter into a breakout room and discuss there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on.
Case number 9, hearing appeal HA 2022-004277, 6428 through 30 North Beechwood Street, Kenneth Clark.
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the city on this matter.
Good afternoon, Ms. Skiles. I don't know how I got muted. Okay, is the appellant present? Kenneth Clark. Kenneth Clark. Kenneth Clark.
They're
Ms.
on the
Skiles?
screen.
Mr. Wade, do you see the images at
Yes.
all?
Yes, they've been on the hearing. I'm trying to unmute them.
Okay.
Yes.
There they are.
And I'm here, Shoshana Bricklin, with my hand raised. I'm the Mr. Clark's attorney.
Okay.
Just retained yesterday, but I am his attorney.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I was going to ask that question. Okay. So, do you have any witnesses? I'm asking both sides. Ms. Skiles, do you have a witness?
Yes, I do have Inspector Tolbert, and I would be making a timeliness objection to this proceeding as well before we get started.
Okay. And also, I'd ask Ms. Bricklin, are you prepared to proceed today?
Yes, we are, but we have not spoken with anyone from the city as yet. I have spoken with Mr. Clark.
Okay. Well, let's do this because there's potential preliminary matters that may determine that we not hear this at all. And so that's where we're going to have to start. So let's do this. Let's swear. You have any witnesses, Ms. Bricklin?
Other than Mr. Clark, who I'm prepared to represent for, but I'd like to hear from what the city has. Perhaps we're not as ready for this, or maybe this is going to be resolved.
Okay.
All I have at this point is I have Mr. Clark.
Okay. Okay. Let's do this. We're going to do this. Ms. Skiles, let's do this. Why don't you make an argument regarding timeliness before we swear in your witness? I'll let you do that.
Yes. So for this, the notice of violation was issued to this property September 1st of 2022. The appeal date, which is clearly stated on the notice, is October 2nd, 2022, and the appeal was not submitted until October 19th, of 2022. That's over 2 weeks late. So we would ask that this appeal be dismissed for lack of timeliness.
Okay. Ms. Brickman, you have any response to that?
I am looking at a board hearing notice, which is all I have in my possession for August 1st. So I don't have any of those other documents in front of me. However, this case, this process is going to have to go through zoning in order to actually comply with any with most of the I understand most of the violations, and he has already applied for the zoning application is pending, and I do have an application number for that. If that
Okay,
is
well, that
helpful.
won't, in this instance, probably, let's do this. Let's keep our focus on the violation notice that he's received, which is the maintenance violation. I guess that's, this property maintenance comes with a particular fine. Is that right, Ms. Skiles? Yeah. You're muted, Ms. Skiles.
Not, well, I
This
guess it
isn't a
would
site
depend on,
violation.
it
This
would,
is not a site violation. Up there.
no, this is a notice of violation.
Okay, okay. All right, let's do this. What I want to do though, where we are, I'm going to invite the board to join me in executive session. And if Ms. Brickland and Ms. Skiles, you just give us a moment, we'll be back to you momentarily, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go back on the record regarding 6428-30 North Beechwood Street, Mr. Kenneth Clark. I've heard Ms. Skiles understand your argument regarding timeliness, but within the board's discretion, we're going to proceed today with this matter. Okay. And so I ask everyone to be prepared to move forward. And so that's the case. We're now on HA-2022-004-277-6428-30 North Beechwood, Kenneth Clark. And Ms. Skiles, your witness, please.
Yes, my witness is Inspector Tolbert.
Mr. Tolbert, please unmute and raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Let us proceed. Mr. Clark, before we do that, just one quick thing. Ms. Brickland and Mr. Clark, if you have a need to confer privately during the matters here, let us know. We'll put you in a breakout room so you can talk confidentially. If Mr. Clark, pay attention to your attorney. She has a reputation of being a good attorney, so pay attention to the instructions that she gives you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's proceed.
Mr. Chair, did we swear Mr. Clark in?
Not yet. Unless he's called for a witness, I won't swear him in. He's called out. Thank you. Ms. Skiles?
Okay. So Inspector Tolbert, where are you currently employed?
City of Philadelphia,
In what department?
License and Inspection, South District.
And how long have you been with the Department of License and Inspections?
About 3 years.
And through the course of your employment with the Department of License and Inspections, did you become aware of a property located at 6428-30 North Beechwood Street?
Yes.
And how did you become aware of this property?
There was a program in conjunction with Streets Department going to all the tire dealer shops.
Tire dealer shops?
Yes.
Okay. So did you inspect this property?
Yes.
And let me, if I may now share my screen, I will. Okay. So Inspector Tolbert, can you see what is displayed now on my screen?
Yes.
Okay. And what is this document that is marked City Exhibit 1?
Notice of violation.
And who was this notice issued to?
Kenneth Clark.
And is this for the property located at 6428-30 North Beechwood Street?
Yes.
And when did you initially inspect this property?
September 1st,
Of
2022.
2022? Okay. And what, if any, violations did you observe at that time?
They did not have a tire dealer license at the time. Their tires were kept in disarray. They had tires inside of their office. They have shipping containers on the property that does not have zoning for it.
Okay. And so as a result of what you observed during your inspection, you issued this notice of violation.
Yes,
Okay. And so and this notice contains all of the violations that you observed at the property?
yes.
So I'm now moving on to City Exhibit 2. Do you recognize the location that's depicted in City Exhibit 2?
Yes,
And where is this?
sidewall.
Of the subject premises that we're speaking about now?
Yes,
Okay. And this photograph was taken during your initial visit September of 2022?
yes.
Okay. And what is depicted in this photograph?
The front of the property.
Okay. And is that in the rear of this photograph, is that one of the shipping containers that you observed?
Yes,
And as you mentioned, to have a shipping container on the property like this, a special zoning permit would be required?
yes.
Okay. And what is depicted in this photograph?
That is inside of the office.
Okay. And in this photograph?
Tires inside of the office.
Okay. And what about in this photograph? What's depicted in this photograph?
That's the equipment that they take the tires off, the rim.
Okay. And so, when did you last inspect the subject premises?
About a week ago.
Okay. And as City Exhibit 3, is this a photograph that you took when you last were out at the property about a week ago?
Yes,
Okay. And as you can see, are there still tires stored on the subject premises?
yes,
And is there still a shipping container located at the property?
yes,
And moving on, this again, did you observe all of these tires located at the property when you were there a week ago?
yes.
And this photograph, what does this photograph depict?
That's the shipping container that has the tires.
Okay. And so when you last inspected the property about a week ago, had any of the violations been complied that you initially wrote this notice of violation for?
Yes, I did comply on the side where they were really messy, that they did have them piled up and more neat.
Okay, but at this time, is there a current tire dealer license on file for this property?
No,
What about the zoning permit? Do they currently have a zoning permit for the shipping containers located on the property?
no,
And are there still tires stacked inside the office of the subject property?
no, they were removed.
They were removed? Okay, so you complied that violation. What about the certificate of occupancy for the shipping container or the pod on the property?
No,
There's no permit for that?
no permit.
Okay, so those violations still remain out of compliance?
Yes,
Okay. I have no further questions at this time, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Brickman, do you have any cross-examination? Then you
Not at this time. I would just like to offer a brief statement, opening statement, and then if we need to speak with the inspector again, we can just let him stay there. Is that with your permission?
Yes, Ms. Skiles, I don't think we have any time pressures at the moment, do we? With the inspector?
I do not that I'm aware of at this moment.
This will be
Okay.
brief. We are going to
Okay,
see
sure.
if our goal and the goal, Mr. Clark's goal, is to resolve this as in the best way possible to be in complete compliance, which is why he retained me as of yesterday. So we're happy that he's been complied with on one of the violations. We know that there's another violation around tire storage, which Mr. Clark would be prepared to testify that he has resolved since the inspection. But the other violations require applications that have to go through zoning, and that has been done prior to Mr. Talbert coming back. And we do have a zoning application number if you would like to have that put into the record. It was filed on.
Well, at some point, if you call Mr. Mr.
sorry.
Strickland, at some point, if you call Mr. Clark as a witness, he can put that in the record through his testimony.
I think it might, for the sake of efficiency and everything, I mean, I think that would be greater if Mr. Clark could adopt what I represent as accurate and true. I think that would work.
That's fine.
Is that okay? Is that all right? As
No,
an
not
officer of the
necessarily.
court, I'm going to give you the best information that I have, and then
Yes.
ask Mr. Clark if I've left anything out. Would
That's
that be?
okay, except that I would ask Mr. Clark to be available for cross-examination.
Yes. He is available for cross-examination.
Okay, before we
But
proceed.
what
now,
I'm
but-
really
Miss Brickland,
hoping from this
Miss
board.
Brickland, Miss Brickland,
I'm
you have to pay attention to what we're doing.
Okay.
I'm asking Miss Skiles if she has any
Lord,
objections.
what
or
is
you
this
willing to-
now?
Okay, what's going on? We have
Something
people.
is going on.
internet? I don't know. Yes, I'm anxious.
Just for a moment, we got to ask Mr. Wade to.
Someone named Yolanda needs to be muted.
Yeah, Ultra?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry about that, everyone. Ms. Skiles, do you have any response to the request, the stipulation?
No.
Okay. All right, Ms. Brickland, you may put certain
What
facts
I
on the
want to
record
do, what
and
I'm
ask
hoping,
ask Mr. Clark to stipulate to you what you put on the record, but at the same time, I know there will be a desire to cross-examine him after you've done it.
if we have to,
Yes, we will have to do that.
do you need to swear him in?
Yeah, at the time that he's, before he can do that, yes, Mr. Clark, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you will give be the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. You can place your hand down. Okay, Ms. Brickland, please proceed.
All right, Mr. Clark has, has represented to me that since the inspection by Mr. Talbert about a week ago, that he has resolved the tire storage and has been cleaning up the premises. I'm not sure at this point what status, if that has been totally cleaned up, but I understand that it is at least in progress. The goal is to be in complete compliance so that this can be run according to every requirement from the city safely and legally. And but the other violations having to do with the certificate of occupancy and the zoning application are things that have to be done off-site, obviously, and that has been put in place. We're waiting for a zoning hearing to be scheduled, and that will then hopefully resolve the rest of these violations. That's all I have at the moment without any kind of request, procedural request.
Okay, now you're going to ask Mr. Clark to adopt that information as his own?
Yes. Mr. Clark, you've heard the information that I've represented to this board. Is that correct to the best of your ability? Have I represented everything correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's nothing else that needs to be added that I did not include at this point?
No, not to my knowledge.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Skiles, you have any cross-examination? You muted, by the way.
I don't have any cross, but just based on that testimony, I would like to recall Inspector Tolbert very briefly for rebuttal.
Mr. Chair, may I ask Mr. Clark one quick question before we move on?
Yeah, we aren't going to move on just yet. I wanted to hear get Ms. Skiles' testimony for her witness out, then the board will be able to see. I'll call you next after she does that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Talbert, Inspector Talbert, you're muted, please. Yes.
So Inspector Tolbert, have there been zoning applications applied for to comply these violations?
Yes.
And currently, what are the outcomes of those zoning permit applications?
In the system as of August 23rd, 2023, there was refused.
Okay.
May I?
No, not yet. Ms. Skiles, do you have any additional questions of the inspector?
No further questions at this time.
Okay, do you have any?
Response, please?
Yes, Ms. Brickland?
And please excuse me that I'm not as expert with this board as I am with the others. Isn't a refusal, with the refusal, I understand will become a schedule for an appointment for a hearing before the zoning board of adjustment, which is the standard practice. So I don't know that the refusal says anything other than the fact that it was refused. It's part of the process. I don't know
well-
that you can take an inference, make any kind of inference that elevates these violations any more than what they currently are.
Yeah, Ms. Brickland, you may make that part of your closing statement if you like. But her response was to the question, the direct question is, what was the status of the zoning application? Which it was
Okay.
8/23.
Now, I
refusal.
guess we would want to put on the record that the zoning, do you need to have the zoning application number? Is that?
Well, not necessarily, not necessarily. It's all part of, that's why you get an opportunity to place certain things on the record, and we will now, the board will have a chance to question both Mr. Clark and anyone else regarding this matter. So, Mr. Washington, you had a question for
Mr.
the
Clark.
appellant?
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, how you doing?
It is my understanding that you applied for your zoning on 8/23/23. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes,
Okay, and you were
Excuse me,
cited back
Mr.
in.
Washington,
Pardon
I
me?
have a different date, so without any paperwork in front of me, I have a date of 7/7/23.
Okay, I'll use 7/7/23, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
Well, my question is, why did he wait so long between the time that he was cited to apply?
you asking me?
Yes, sir.
yes.
Well, I'm sorry, well, my knowledge of the violation, all that is very limited, and I've really been depending on other people to help me with this because like I've really never had this issue. It just started, coming, like in the last year. So, I've been at that location for like almost 50 years. Like it's just recently, like all this stuff has started to come, and I just had, I just wasn't aware of it. I just, my ignorance,
So you are agreeing that these violations are true?
Oh, yes, yes.
No more questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I
anyone
have a
else?
question, Mr. Clark.
Yes.
How you doing?
Why didn't you communicate with the inspector regarding the violations and the process that you needed to take? Is there any
Well-
particular reason?
Well, initially, when the inspector first came, I wasn't there. So my nephew was there. Like for the last year, I done had like some real health issues. Like I had a stroke, I had a blood clot, prostate issue, and I just had surgery Friday for him dang, what was that like? Oh, a hernia. So like I've been dealing with health issues and trying to keep everything afloat at the same time. So, that's, I'm not making no excuses, but I just been dealing with a whole lot,
Thank you.
and trying to keep everything
Okay.
afloat,
Understood. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, if I may interrupt, there's someone who's on the screen. It says Anthony Alicia. And there's a lot of commotion, and that's disruptive. I would hope that that person can either just show himself or herself on the screen or go off and restore video when their case is called. But I'm finding it very distracting.
Okay, Anthony Alicia, would you mind stopping your video? You can listen, stop your video because of the issues. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pincus. Okay, Mr. Clark, I believe it's your testimony that you've operated at this location for approximately 50 years. Is that correct?
Yes, my
Okay.
father started it in 1973.
Okay. Do you operate tire installation similar to this in other parts of the city?
No, no. Well, I have a building where I store stuff, but that's the only place where I operate.
Okay, and so is the building where you store things, is it the same address as the location of this violation?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay, okay. And how long have you been the proprietor or operator of this business?
My father turned it over to me in 93, I think it 95 exactly.
Okay, so in 95, you became the sole operator.
Yeah.
Okay, and since that time, have you ever applied for a permit or license to operate a tire repair slash installation business?
Yes, actually, in the early, I think it was like 2000. At the time I was trying to expand, and I filed to get a permit to build the buildings, cause like at the time the business was growing. So, and I was actually approved and everything, you know.
Did you obtain a tire installation repair license?
I was under the impression that all that was already established. Like I'm really wasn't aware of like all.
Well, do you have a permit or license in a frame on your wall?
Yeah, you know, to be honest, I really can't. I don't know. Like I say, you know.
Okay. Okay. All righty.
There, I do have a question for Inspector Talbot. If I need to go to Ms. Skiles first? No?
No, you're able to directly ask Ms. Talbot to unmute. Yes, thank you.
In one of the photos that Ms. Skiles put up, it appeared that right next to the tire location, is that a residential occupied property?
Behind it, there's on the other street, there's a whole residential street. So they're on the corner, like on an angle.
And it appeared that there was one of the properties right next door to the yard of the tire location. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Where the tires are stored, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Does that pose any kind of a danger in terms of fire to yourself as a code enforcement official?
Yes, that's why I was asking him to have him orderly and not all over the place and take him out of the office and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which Mr. Tennant, board member Tennant, he did. He, just to reiterate for the record, he did comply with that piece,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, if there aren't any additional questions, no to redirect, or Ms. Brickland, you have anyone you want to bring on in it other than Ms. Clark?
No, at this point, I want to just reiterate that we are, Mr. Clark is totally, you know, desirous of getting this business in absolute compliance, and we would like an opportunity to work with the city to do so. And part of that will be the zoning, but if there's a procedure in which this process could be postponed, stayed, pending him completing what he already began, that would be very helpful.
Well, I can say this, I will ask for, of course, closing argument by Ms. Skiles as well. But keep in mind that this has been an operation that apparently has been operating outside of the law for almost 50 years. And so that's the concern. And also the considerable hazard that's posed by the storage of such a large quantity of tires. So I will invite you, if Ms. Brickland, you have any additional closing argument to make.
I don't know that.
Ms. Brickland, you're speaking while I'm attempting to speak.
Oh, excuse me.
We will ask you to make any closing argument, and Ms. Skiles, you will close the hearing with your argument, then we will vote. Thank you. Ms. Brickland?
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
I just went to the city's history for this address, I believe, and it shows Mr. Clark is the owner, 6428-30 North Beechwood Street. That's our address, right?
Yes.
there was a permit for the erection of a one-story structure for use as tire changing garage and an accessory parking garage for one vehicle on the same lot with an existing one-story structure for use as an office as part of the tire changing business. That zoning appeal was granted on October 16, 2012. Now, it's possible that there was a zoning grant or approval, but no one followed up to get the appropriate zoning use permit that's a part of the zoning process. So that may explain, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how you can be there for all these years and not be properly licensed. So there may be some history here of failed procedural efforts.
Okay, thank you. That's right. He did indicate earlier that in fact he had applied for licenses to build a structure. He didn't say why he didn't do it, but he did. But of course, there's a requirement now to have a separate retail tire license, which I don't think the record indicated he has. That happened probably sometime after he started business. Okay, thank you very much.
I appreciate that, for that information, Mr. Pincus. We would have probably discovered that had I been on this case a little longer. But my closing argument is this: given the history of this business, we are here to remediate. We are not here at this point. We would really not here to punish. We are here to get this business up to legal compliance as the law stands now, without having to relitigate and to go back for the many decades that this business has been in operation. And Mr. Clark has indicated every desire to do that, hence the zoning application, which will take him through all of the steps that are necessary to make sure this is absolutely in compliance. Furthermore, he has evidenced his efforts to comply with what's left other than the zoning application and the occupancy license by moving and rearranging the tire storage. And I have every confidence that he will complete that in a way so that we make sure that this is not a hazard in any way. Beyond that, any other issues having to do with the surrounding residential properties will be dealt with appropriately in zoning. So at this point, we would be asking for a minimum to have a stay of this, if not anything, some way to the best solution to resolve this in a positive manner, so as to allow Mr. Clark to finish complying with what's necessary.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Giles, do you have any closing argument?
Yes, the city's requesting a city affirm of the violations that were issued over a year ago at this point. I don't think there's been any contest today at all that the violations exist. Simply, testimony has been put forward about remedial efforts, seeking a stay. So we would be seeking a city affirm of the violations. We would also be opposed to any significant stay of enforcement at this time, as the NOV has shown that these violations have existed on this property for over a year ago that the notice of violation was issued. And just July 7th of 2023, the zoning permit was applied for. And as the testimonies reflected, his attorney was retained yesterday. More than enough time has passed to work on these violations, to work on compliance of these violations, so that we would be at a different posture today. So based on that, we would be just asking for a city affirm today.
Okay, thank you very much. We will poll the board then on HA-2022-004-277, 6428-30 North Beechwood Street. Mr. Kenneth Clark, city affirm.
Mr. Chair, before we
Yes.
continue the voting, is there a chance we could go into executive session for a brief period of time?
Okay, all right, based on that request, we will go off the record. Please note that we started to vote. We'll resume at that point when we return. Thank you, everyone. We're back on the record. We will resume the vote on HA 2022 004277 6428 30 North Beechwood. Kenneth Clark, the chairperson, has voted earlier. City affirmed.
My vote is city affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Thank you very much for the unanimous vote of city affirmed. Ms. Griffin, of course, you have the ability, if you choose, to appeal our decision. And of course, that decision is appealable to the Board of Common Pleas. Thank you very much for your participation and your patience.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Clark, have a good afternoon. Ms. Skiles, you are excused. And your Yolanda Talbot, Inspector Talbot, you're excused as well. Okay, let's move on to the next matter.
Mr. Chair, case number 12 was contacted the office. They were having a little trouble with the Zoom. There was also a request to call case number 15 for inspector availability. So if we could
Okay.
take case number 15, hearing appeal HA 2022 004305 4933 Duffield Street, Ismail Roman.
Okay, who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the city.
Okay, Ms. Skiles, who is your witness for this matter?
Inspector Corley.
Corley, okay. All right, just one moment. Is the appellant present? Ishmael Roman? Ishmael Roman? Ishmael Roman. Okay.
I don't see anyone. I can check service.
Yeah, please check service, please.
Service was made.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Skiles, no response to the call and service was made. What is your preference?
We would ask for a city affirm due to failure to appear.
Okay, all right, just one more time. Ishmael Roman, just want to make certain that individual's name is not on the screen. And because thus far, no one has responded to the call. Okay, according to the administrator, the service was made. We will now, what's the time, Mr. Pincus?
I have 2:43 p.m.
2:43 p.m. Thank you. Regarding HA 2022 004305 4933 Duffield Street, Ishmael Roman, city affirmed lack of appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Thank you very much. That matter is disposed of. Okay. Let's go back up to number 12. I think it is Mr. Wade.
Yep. She contacted the office. I don't believe she hasn't joined as of yet, but I
Okay.
had staff reaching out to try and help her.
Okay.
So we'll just continue in order after that.
Yeah, let's continue order now. We'll come back to it.
Yep. Case number 16, hearing appeal HA 2022 004127 3959 North Fairhill Street, Jose Matos.
Okay. Who's representing the city?
Amy Skiles on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Ms. Skiles. Do you have a witness today, Ms. Skiles?
Yes, my witness for this matter is Inspector Tolbert.
Oh, okay. Ms. Dr. Tolbert, welcome back. Okay. Do we have the appellant, Jose Matos? Jose Matos. Mr. Wade, while we're checking, would you check the record regarding service?
Service was made.
Service was made. Have you heard from or seen Mr. Jose Matos?
No, I
on
have
the
not.
screen? Okay. Alrighty. It appears, Ms. Skiles, that Mr. Matos is not present. What is your preference?
Yes, we would ask for a city affirm today for failure to appear.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one moment. Mr. Pincus, what time do we have?
I have 2:45 PM.
2:45 PM. We report the board on HA-2022-004-127-3959 North Fair Hill Street. Jose Matos, city affirmed non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Okay, thank you very much. That disposes of that matter. Okay, let's move on.
Brings us down to cases 20 and 21. 20, hearing appeal HA 2022-004071, 461 Seville Street. Peter McGrath. Appeal number 21, HA 2022-004072, 461 Seville Street. Peter McGrath.
Okay, thank you very much. Who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, board members. Jim Kelly here on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kelly. All righty, Mr. Kelly, do you have any witnesses?
Yes, the city's witness today is Inspector Anthony Williams.
Okay, Mr. Williams present.
Believe so. I would just, while we're waiting for him, in the time that we've been on here, Ms. McGrath and I have been able to come to an agreement. It hasn't been sent over to the board yet, but I just received it back, so I can have this forwarded to you in the next couple of minutes, if that's all right.
Oh, certainly. If you are able to put the essential elements on the record, and we
Sure.
will vote to adopt or not. But both, I would also ask Ms. McGrath to confirm that in fact she concurs with your representation. So if you do that first, then we'll hear from Ms. McGrath.
Sure. So the agreement is for it's for both cases, HA 2022-004071 and HA 2022-004072. For both cases to be marked as city affirm with a fine amount of $150.
Okay, city $150 fine. Ms. McGrath, do you concur with that representation?
Yes, I confirm with that representation.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Before we vote, I'm just curious, how did this become two cases, Mr. Kelly?
It's two separate citations, SVNs, one for weeds and one for rubbish and trash.
Oh, okay, so, okay, this is citation, okay, all right, thank you. All right, with regard then to HA-2022-004071, 461 Seville Street, Peter McGrath, and HA-2022-004072, 461 Seville Street, Peter McGrath. City affirmed per agreement, $150 fine.
City affirm per agreement, a payment of $150 fine.
City affirm per the agreement with $150 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with $150 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with $150 fine.
Thank you very much. That resolves that matter. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay.
For the record, each agreement's getting $150 fine, correct?
Correct.
For okay. Okay, that brings us to case 24, hearing appeal HA 2022-004151, 2711 Brown. Shelley Kapustin.
Okay. Who's representing the city?
Yes, good afternoon, Board. Dejanay Davis on behalf of the city of Philadelphia. Before we proceed, I wanted to know if it was possible if I can go out into a break room with Miss Kapustin. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly.
Okay. Is she present?
Yes, she is.
Okay. So let's do that. Mr. Wade, can you put the two of them in the breakout room, please? We'll go on to the next matter.
Case number.
Okay, can you put them into a breakout room?
I just did. I gave it to them.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. All right. Number 23, is that one available? Is that ability to be heard?
23, we continued.
Oh, we did? Oh, that's continued? Okay.
Case number 27, hearing appeal HA 2020.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I
Yes.
mean, I hate to cut in real quick, but I don't think Ms. Cass, you know how to get into the breakout room. She's still here.
Oh, she is? Okay. All right, Ms. Wade, can you help her?
I'm trying.
She's muted, by the way.
Ms. Casputin, at the bottom of your screen, do you see a little thing that say breakout rooms? No?
You have all the little symbols at the bottom of your screen. You may need to unmute yourself, which would be where those symbols are. And
I
then you-
see that. I don't know if you can hear me. I have unmuted myself. Next to that says stop video. Next to that says more, and then leave. So I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
It should be under more. If you see more, should it say join breakout room?
I can click on that and see, but it doesn't say that now. I hope I don't lose you, but I'm clicking on it now. Okay, participants invite, copy, chat, show chat, join breakout room. Okay, yes. That's an option. Yes, I'll click on that. Thank you for your help. Nothing happened so far, even though I clicked on join breakout room.
Okay, just be patient. Just a few moments. It'll click in.
Okay, I have patience. And I thank the gentleman that noticed that I was stuck here.
It's not giving you a room yet?
Not yet. The category that says chat has a 1 next to it. I'm not sure if that's connected.
You should be room 3. I've given you room 3.
Join breakout room. I'm sorry, but I see nothing that says room 3 or anything about it.
Well, 1 second.
Okay.
All right. We're just gonna have to hold on 1 second. I gotta call the next case, just to keep this moving, and I'll work with you I'll call you offline. All right.
What does offline mean?
I mean, I'll call the number on your appeal while the next case is being heard, and I'll try and walk you through it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. This is case number 27. Hearing appeal HA 2022 004107. 12009 Academy Road, Shauna Evans.
Okay, who's representing the city?
I am. Good afternoon, members of the board. Jeffrey Cohen for the city of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon.
It's my understanding that Ms. Evans needs to leave very soon. The city has no objection if this case is to be continued. I would just ask that Ms. Evans be put in touch with Administrator Salim Muhammad, who is also on the Zoom right now, so that they can talk in the interim about compliance of the violations.
Okay, before we do that, who's your witness for today, Mr. Cohen?
Administrator Salim Muhammad.
Okay, Ms. Evans, please unmute. We need you to put your name on the record and raise your right hand so that you may be sworn.
Hi, Shauna Evans.
Okay, do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today will be the truth to help you God?
True, so help me God.
Okay, so now you're requesting a continuance for today's hearing, is that it?
Because I have a 3 o'clock job interview, so that's why I want it. I'm not sure if this is gonna wrap up between 5 minutes time.
No. The answer is no, it won't wrap up that quickly. So we can continue this. This is the first continuance, Mr. Cohen?
I believe this is the first hearing. It would be the first continuance request. The city has no objection or would even join in the continuance.
Okay, we'll note the record that this is continued. Ms. Evans, we don't like to give multiple continuances, so we expect you to be prepared to proceed if this
I
comes
am
back.
prepared, Your Honor. I am.
No.
I've been
Well,
on this
if you-
call from 1 o'clock, sitting and
Okay.
watching the
Yes.
proceedings. I thought it
And-
would be within a 2 hour, but now it's going extended time. So I did not know I would have to reschedule, but I have a job interview and it's too close to the time. I thought I would be done by 2 o'clock today.
Okay, have you done these hearings before?
I've never had an experience like this before. This is my first time.
Okay, so this is what you should expect when you attend a hearing. It may take you to 8 o'clock, and you will be required, like all of us do, have to be waiting for the whole thing to happen. So I would
It's
advise you,
it's an
listen, I
entire
need to
day
finish,
process?
ma'am, please don't speak while I'm speaking, okay? So I advise you that in the future, if you have to do this again, to clear your afternoon until your case is called. There's no way for us to be able to fit your schedule. You have to work with the schedule of the hearing, okay? So we will grant your request this time for continuance.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add, in the meantime, Ms. Evans, you might want to try to speak to the inspector at the Department of Licenses and Inspections and find out what it is you need to do in order to resolve this matter so that maybe you don't need to have a hearing.
I've been in communication with Salim Mohammed, so I will speak with him further regarding this if I do need to actually have a hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon, okay?
You too, my dear. Have a wonderful
Thank you
rest
very
of your
much, Ms. Evans. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you,
Bye.
Mr. Cohen. Okay, Mr. Wade, if you're available, can you call the next matter?
Case number 35, hearing appeal HA 2022-004281, 926 Dorset Street, David and Michelle Balser.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Leonard F. Reuter for the city of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reuter. And I believe there's legal counsel noted, David Balsher.
It does appear that Mr. Balser, who apparently is also one of the owners of the property, I believe it's husband and wife are the owners of the property. I do not see either of them here. If I could ask for confirmation that the notice of the hearing went out.
Okay, Mr. Wade, would you mind checking the record, please?
One second. Notice was sent both to the address and the office address of David Balser.
Okay, so service was made. What is your preference, Mr. Reuter?
Well, the city would ask that the matter be marked city affirmed for failure to appear, or dismissed for failure to appear.
Okay, one question though before we vote. Is this a building permit issue?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right, thank you. Since the record indicates the service was made, Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
2:59 p.m.
2:59 p.m. Okay, we will poll the board on HA-2022-004281, 926 Dorset Street, David and Michelle Balser, B-A-L-C-E-R, city affirmed non-appearance.
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 Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Wade, what do we have next? Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lauder, you're excused.
Just one moment. Okay, that brings us down to case 36, hearing appeal HA 2022-004233, 953 East Westmoreland Street, Anthony Alicia.
Okay, who's representing the city?
I just put Dejanay in the breakout. I could. just
You
give me
think
one-
that's her? She also representing this matter, you think?
Yes, she is.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next case then.
Okay.
Mr. Wade, I just noticed that I believe that was the person who was moving about and I asked to.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yes.
see them. Oh, they're on the screen still. I was concerned they weren't on, they weren't on. All right, thank you.
No worries. Case number 37, hearing appeal HA 2022 004223.
What the fuck is that, man?
Okay, that's not gonna work. Okay.
I muted him.
Yeah, if you would start over again, sir.
Okay. Case number 37, hearing appeal HA 2022 004223, 2417 South Millick Street, Shawanda Muhammad.
Okay.
Jeffrey Cohen again representing the city in this matter.
Mr.
She
Cohen?
appears to be rejoining right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure how to get in. I'm here. Unfortunately, I had a funeral yesterday, so my brain is not working very good. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
We can hear you, but we need to see you.
I know, I'm trying. Okay, it says start my video. Okay, can you see me now?
There we go.
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Not
Ma'am,
feeling too good today.
if you would adjust the screen just a bit so we can see your complete profile. At the moment, we only see to the bottom. That's fine, right?
I'm sitting in a chair because my legs are
That's
not
okay.
very good.
That's okay. You don't have to come that far now. We just need to see your full face. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Would you
All
raise your
right.
right hand so that you may be sworn?
I can affirm I'm a Muslim.
Okay, but I just need you to raise your right hand.
Okay,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today will be the truth to help you God?
I can affirm.
Thank you very much. You can place your hand down.
Okay.
Mr. Cohen, do you have a witness today?
Yes, LNI Inspector Anthony Martin. He is on the call. He is muted. If he could please unmute. And actually, before we get into Mr. Martin's testimony, just for the record, this matter that is under appeal is a site violation notice, which deals with a particular violation seen on a particular day. So it's not a notice of violation that deals with an ongoing violation with multiple offenses.
Understood. Thank you very much.
And with that, Inspector Martin, if you could please unmute.
Inspector Martin?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There we
can hear
go.
you now. Sir, if
Okay.
you
Thank
raise
you
your
very
right
much.
hand, so that would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. Ready? Mr. Cohen, please proceed.
Thank you.
Oh, before we do
Ins-
that, my apologies, Mr.
Okay.
Cohen. I do have to inquire of Ms. Muhammad. Madam, whose name is on the deed to the Millick Street property, 2417 South Millick?
It's me, and it was my ex-husband, which I haven't seen in years. So
Okay, wait a minute. You broke up. We couldn't hear you very well. I'm not sure if you moved or anything.
we were divorced years ago. We were divorced back in, I believe 2002.
Okay, just one moment.
Yeah.
Mr. Cohen,
Is
any
that true?
concern? Just one moment. Mr. Cohen, any concern about standing in this matter?
None. As she is a co-owner of the property, the responsibility does fall to her. It also does fall equally to the to her ex-husband, Mr. Smith, who is also on the deed.
Okay, all right, thank you. Just as a matter of note, Ms. Muhammad, you may want to consult an attorney regarding ownership, but we will proceed today. Okay.
Right.
Mr. Cohen, please proceed.
Thank you. Inspector Martin, you could very briefly say how many years you've been working with LNI and in what capacity?
Anthony Martin, license and inspections. I'm in Central East. Been working with LNI approximately now going on 7 years.
And in the course of your duties, have you inspected the property at 2417 South Millick Street?
Yes.
Was that on or about September 16th of 2022?
Yes, 9/16/2022, correct.
All right, if it pleases the board, I'm going to share an exhibits packet on my screen that has previously been shared with the board and with the appellant.
Yes.
Can everyone see the exhibits that are on my screen? The table of
Yes.
contents?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go down to page 2. Inspector, if you could tell us what this picture is on page 2.
Yes, it's the high weeds at the rear of the property on Millick Street.
And did you take this photo?
Yes, I did.
And was this photo taken as on the side, it says September 16th, 2022?
That's correct.
What can you tell us about the weeds that are in this photo?
That the weeds are over 10 inches high going up to the rear of the property. And we got a call and complaint about high weeds, and that was the reason I was out there.
And what about these weeds or vine that looks like it's climbing up this pole?
Yes, I mean, the whole rear of the property, as you can see, it kind of takes up the whole back of the property, almost blocking toward the back door.
And is this pole a utility pole?
Correct.
All right, and I'm going to scroll down to the third page. Is this also a photograph of the same rear yard and weeds?
Yes.
Now I'm scrolling down to page 4. What is this document that I have on screen, the highlighting of which I added and was not in the original?
Are you referring to the site notice, site violation notice?
Yes, if that's this document.
Yes.
Who was this issued to?
Mohammed, I can't pronounce the first name.
Swanda.
Yes, Swanda, thank you. Mohammed Swanda and Smith.
Zetroy.
R-O-Y.
And just to confirm, is this site violation notice issued specifically for the weeds violation that was found on September 16th of 2022?
Yes.
And it's not for any ongoing violation, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and who entered the information that went into this document?
I'm sorry, who entered the information?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I wrote the violation.
Or, sorry, that, did the violation that you wrote, did that information go into this document?
Yes.
And is that something that you do in the ordinary course of your duties?
That is correct.
And is this type of document something that LNI keeps through the ordinary course of its business?
Yes, we issue these on a daily basis when we get calls for high weeds, and they're actually there when we go out.
Thank you very, very much, Inspector. I don't have anything further at this time other than moving exhibits C1 and C2, the photos and this notice, into evidence. But I would like to reserve some time for rebuttal if necessary. And of course, I would present Mr. Martin for cross-examination.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mohammed, do you have any cross-examination questions for the inspector based on his testimony?
Yes, unfortunately, that was the day of a funeral for me, but I had cut it down when I saw the notice, and I've cut it several times.
Okay,
but
Ms. Mohammed, what I was asking,
Yeah.
if you have any, you can make your statements later, but
Questions for him?
do you have
Yes.
any specific questions for him based on his testimony?
At this time, no.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cohen, if you complete your presentation, I'll ask Ms. Mohammed to share with us her understanding of the facts.
Of course, yeah, the city at this time rests, but reserves some time for rebuttal if necessary.
Okay, Ms. Mohammed, what is your understanding of the
Yes.
facts?
The weeds were there, and when I saw the notice, we did cut them down. Unfortunately, I have 2 dislocated shoulders, and I don't really have anybody to help me, but I took it down as many times as I could.
Okay.
I
And
have
so,
pictures if they need to see the pictures from when I cut it down.
okay, but on the date in question, on September 16th, were
Yeah.
the weeds as high as they noted in the
They
violation
were.
notice?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions?
I would have a question for the inspector. When
Yes,
was the last time you was out at the property?
Well, for a pre-court, I went out there, but since it's an SVN, there was nowhere for me to attach any pictures because this was just based on the date I went out there, September 16th. And since then, I've been moved to a different area.
Okay, so there haven't been any re-inspection to.
Well, no, I did go out there, but there was nowhere for me to upload any photos because it's a site violation, not a case where I can keep attaching files. This was for that particular day.
Okay, I follow you. No more questions, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think though, Mr. Martin, Mr. Washington is getting at is when you visited on the date, the last violation, the date that you inspected the property, where the weeds had they grown back. Essentially, is what we're trying to say.
No, I think he stated the last time he was out there was on the 16th, 9/16/22.
Yeah, asked they had the weeds growing back. Yeah, I'm just asking, had the weeds growing back.
Oh, have the weed grown back? Well, see, again, that's not in my area, and it was a site violation.
Oh, we understand all of that. I'm asking very specifically, had the weeds growing back when you went out?
Well, if the board would entertain this as an offer of proof, the city actually has recently issued a separate SVN for a similar issue, but that would be entertained in a separate litigation from this.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And so my question remains. The inspector did put on record that he did go back and perform an inspection, although he was not able to upload photographs. I'm asking him on the record. But sir, you can't speak while I'm, Mr. Brett, you gotta wait till I finish. So I'm asking on the record what he saw. That's all.
Right. In my opinion, without the photos, yes, weeds were there.
Okay, thank you. That's all we needed to hear. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, are there any additional questions from anyone? Okay, all right. Then if there are no additional questions, Ms. Mohammed, do you have any final comments to make before we let the city have the final comment, and then we'll vote? You can unmute yourself, please. You're muted at the moment. Mr. Wade, you may need help unmuting.
Okay.
He's still muted.
Yeah. Ms. Mohammed, can you unmute yourself, please? Because we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. So any final comments you'd like to make?
No, but I mean, if they need proof, I do have photos of when we cut it down.
Okay, alrighty. Thank you. Just one note: if you ever have a violation and a hearing again, any photos or evidence that you want to share must be submitted in advance. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Any final comments?
Just that this is a one-day issue on September 16th of 2022, and the city has shown photographs and its documentation of exactly that issue of the weeds that were growing out of control and climbing up the utility pole. I would just add that if this continues to be an issue, then further enforcement may include a notice of violation for an ongoing set of violations. That's not this. This is a one-day, one issue, one violation case.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on forward to board on HA-2022-004-223-2417 South Millick Street, Shwanda Muhammad, MUHAMMAD. City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Thank you very much. Ms. Muhammad, the unanimous vote of city affirmed. It means that you've lost your appeal. You may appeal our decision, and if you need information as to how to do that, please call the number on the decision letter, and it will tell you, and you can ask for information on how to appeal this decision. Understood?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, members of the board.
Alrighty.
You just want to recall case number 24.
Okay.
Case number 24, hearing appeal HA 2022-004151, 2711 Brown Street, Shelley Kapstein.
Okay. Alrighty.
Good afternoon, Board. Dejanay Davis on behalf of the City of Philadelphia. I wanted to inform you that the appellant and I was able to enter into an agreement. The terms of that agreement essentially a city affirmed with a payment of $100, with the fine being $100. Yes.
Okay, city affirmed with $100 fine. Okay, Ms. Capstan, you're muted. Would you mind unmuting yourself? And I just need you to, on the record, confirm that you agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, would you pronounce your last name for us, please?
It's Kapustin.
Kapustin. Okay, thank you
Yes.
very much. Okay.
And I will have that agreement in writing to the board shortly, closer to the end of the proceedings, as we just
Okay.
entered that agreement.
Okay, thank you very much. Ready? Regarding HA-2022-004151, 2711 Brown Street, Shelley Capusta. City affirmed per agreement with $100 fine.
City affirmed per agreement for, with a payment of a $100 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $100 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $100 fine.
City affirmed per agreement, $100 fine.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Capusta. It's all over. Have a good afternoon. You excuse Ms. Davis. I think you may have one additional court.
I do, yes.
Case. Okay. Alrighty.
Case
Thank you,
number
Ms.
30
Kapustin. I think you can go. You're free to go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Case number 36, hearing appeal HA 2022-004233, 953 East Westmoreland Street, Anthony Alicia.
Okay. Ms. Davis, I assume that's your case.
Yes, it is. Dejanay Davis on behalf of the City of Philadelphia.
Okay. Mr. Alicia? Mr.
Yeah.
Alicia. Okay, sir, if you turn your video on, please.
It said you got it disabled.
I don't believe we disabled it from here. I'll check. Oh. Just one moment. Mr. Wade, is he able to?
I just
turn
sent
his-
him the prompt to turn his video on.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, Mr. Alicia, would you, if you're in a vehicle, sir, are you parked or are you still moving?
No, I'm parked.
Okay, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay, before we proceed though, just want to check with you. Whose name is on the deed to 953 East Westmoreland Street?
My name.
Anyone else's name or company's name on the deed?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Davis, please proceed.
Yes, the city would like to call Inspector Jerlyn Brown.
Inspector Brown?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Would you raise your right
afternoon.
hand so that you may be sworn, ma'am? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give be the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Place your hand down. Okay, Ms. Davis, please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Inspector Brown. Could you please state your position? Where do you work?
I work for Philadelphia License and Inspections Department.
And can you tell the board what are your primary roles and duties with the Department of License and Inspection?
Inspecting vacant properties.
And Inspector Brown, are you familiar with the property located at 953 East Westmoreland Street?
Yes.
And can you tell the board how you are familiar with that property?
It's a property that we received a complaint for vacant with exterior violations. And I performed an inspection.
And did you have the chance to review LNI's records and public records and records provided by appellant with regards to this property?
Yes.
And would you recognize those documents if I were to show you here today?
Yes.
Permission to share my screen, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Here we go. I'll just need you to magnify it a bit, please.
Okay, give me a second. Let me
Yeah.
see what I can do here. Does that work for everyone? Can you see it?
Yeah, actually, you can make it just a
Yes.
tiny bit smaller.
A tiny bit,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. There we go. That's good.
Okay, I wanted to let the record reflect that I'm showing Inspector Brown what has been marked as City's Exhibit C1. Inspector Brown, do you recognize Exhibit C1?
Yes,
And can you tell the board what this is?
this is a vacant property that has boards on the first floor, front, and the basement.
And is this a site
Basement
violation?
windows.
And is
Yes,
this a
it
site?
is.
And who was this site violation issued to?
To Mr. Anthony Alicia.
Okay. And I'm just going to just stop sharing my, I'm going actually in this, I'm going to go to what has been marked as City's Exhibit C3. Inspector Brown, do you recognize Exhibit C3?
Yes,
And can you tell the board what we're looking at in Exhibit C3?
we're looking at a vacant property that has boards on the first floor window and the basement window.
And is this the photo that you took when you went out to inspect the property?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. Inspector Brown, in addition to your observations of the property, what else do you analyze to determine whether or not a property is vacant?
Boards, that's an indication. If there's mail piled up in the front of the property, that's an indication. That could be an indication. Also, if there's any, well, not necessarily, I was going to say, if there's any blinds or, blinds or curtains in the windows, that's an indication, or trash, rubbish, things like that.
Inspector Brown, do you also review any type of bills to indicate whether or not a property has been vacant?
Not before, no.
Did you
No, I do
review any bills with regards to this property?
Yes, I reviewed the bills after this property was cited.
Okay. And would you recognize those documents if I were to show you today?
I sure would, yes.
Going to share my screen again. At this time, I'm showing Inspector Brown what has been marked as City's Exhibit C6. Give me a second.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Now, Inspector Brown, do you recognize C6? I'm just trying to scroll down because there's multiple pages.
Yes.
Okay, well, this is only one page. And
yes,
what is C6?
Copy of water bill for 953 East Westmoreland Street.
Okay. And when you do review the water bill with regards to vacant properties, what are you looking for in the water bill?
The usage history to see if there was any usage.
Okay. And I'm no worries. And I'm pointing to well, there's a little hand right here. I'm circling for the usage of this property between September 2021 and September 2022. Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you inform the board the usage within the 3 months prior to you citing this violation?
Zero usage.
And what does that indicate to you, Inspector Brown?
That the property was vacant. Yeah, vacant.
And did you also review an electric bill with regards to
Yes.
this property?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let the record reflect I'm showing Inspector Brown what has been marked as City's Exhibit C7. Just going to scroll down some more. Inspector Brown, do you recognize Exhibit C7?
Yes.
I'm going to show, now this one has 2 pages.
Okay.
And can you tell the board what Exhibit C7 is?
Pico bill, the electric bill.
And again, when you are looking at this bill, what are you looking for with regards to vacant
Also
properties?
the usage.
Okay. And I am circling this section here at the bottom where it says usage.
Yes.
What does the usage of this property at the time you issued the violation of September 2022 indicate?
Zero usage. No electricity was used.
Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Now, just to clarify, Inspector Brown, based on your initial inspection on September 28th, 2022, and your overall analysis of the documents with regards to this property located at 953 East Westmoreland Street, was in your opinion, and your expertise working for L&I, was this property in fact vacant at the time you issued the SVN to the appellant?
Yes.
I have no further questions for Inspector Brown.
Okay, Mr. Alicia, do you have any cross-examination for the inspector?
I mean, there's no cross-examination. I mean, I don't understand what are you
I'm
guys
asking you a
defining.
question, sir. If you don't have any questions, that's okay. We can move on to the other parts of the case, okay? That's what I'm asking. If you don't have any questions based on her testimony, then we'll move on. Okay.
So you're saying if I have any questions for the inspector?
Yes, based on her testimony, you have the right to cross-examine her. I'm asking if you have any questions.
No, I don't have no questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Davis, do you have any further witnesses or testimony to put on the record?
Not at this time, Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Lisi, it's your turn to tell us why you believe the property is not vacant. It was not vacant.
Well, I mean,
But before you start, we're getting some background noise, background conversations. I'm not sure who that is.
That's coming from Ms. Brown.
Okay, Ms. Brown, thank you. Okay, Mr. Alicia, please proceed.
I mean, based on my research now, I'm trying to the vacant property. I know she's seen the front window was boarded up, and that was just for a short period of time. I mean, she just recently came out there, and I see we never looked at the window that was just put in like a month after that picture was taken. I got receipts. I mean, I guess at this point it probably wouldn't even matter. But I'm not no house flipper or nothing like that. This is just the second property that I got. A house for me defined as vacant is just as the other 30 houses in my neighborhood that drug addicts go in. That's vacant to me. This house is not vacant. I'm in there every day. If you go there, you don't see no mail piled up because I'm in there every day. If you stay at the property, go ask the neighbors, ask them if they tell you it's vacant. It's not vacant. Vacant to me is a house is abandoned. It's just left there. Nobody takes care of it. In fact, if you would have went a month after those pictures were taken, you would have seen brand new windows. Was I supposed to not put a board up? If you look at the board looks nice and fresh, doesn't it? It doesn't look old. It doesn't look rotted or somebody try to break through it. It looks brand new because I'm a person that cares and just put a board up so nobody can go into the property. And now the usage on the electric bill for that particular month, funny thing is, yeah, there's no usage for that month. But if you check the property has 2 meters. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say there's a bunch of usage on both meters. I'm pretty sure if I find the bill and show you guys for that month, the usage will be just as low, $12, $13. No, there's no real usage on the property, but vacant to me is nobody being there. I'm there. I'm there big amount of time. I've been working on the property slowly, floors, painting, stuff like that. I'm not really understanding what's vacant. And then, I didn't get no warning or nothing like that. I just recently looked into this. I see that there's a vacant property license. I wasn't even made aware that that was something that I could do. And I didn't even know that was something that I needed to do. Because to me, by the definition of my understanding and people in my neighborhood understanding, that's not a vacant property. I mean, look at the front of it. Does it look vacant?
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Alicia, one of the things, is this the only investment property that you own in the city of Philadelphia?
No, this is my second property. Okay. But it's not, I don't look at it as an investment.
Let me finish. Let me finish. We can't offer you legal advice here, but I would encourage you to seek out the advice of an attorney, real estate attorney, and/or an experienced real estate broker who could help you understand all the rules and requirements of being an investment property owner. Any property that you own, particularly if you're going to rent it out as a duplex that you don't live in, is an investment property. And so there's certain requirements for individuals who own investment properties. So I would advise you to seek the advice of a lawyer and or real estate professional who could help you navigate the system. So that's just a suggestion to you. But in the meantime, Ms. Davis, do you have any further argument to make?
Just briefly, today's proceedings is we are here today to in regards to the validity of the SVN that was issued to the appellant with regards to the appellant not possessing a vacant property license. Based on what the appellant has stated, in the testimony that has been provided from Inspector Brown, the property was in fact vacant. The appellant did not live in the property at the time, and therefore the violations that were cited during the September 20th, 2022 inspection were in fact correct and valid. And with that, the city will be requesting a city affirm.
So what is the definition of what's the definition of vacant to you guys?
A vacant is where no one sleeps in overnight and is relatively unoccupied. That's a vacant property. And there's
okay, so every month
let me finish.
Now,
Sir, let me it be inexpensive and cost effective for you just to get the license. Just get the license. That's the easiest thing for you to do.
It'd be very cost effective if you guys would let somebody know, but because y'all in the business of making money and not giving nobody a fair warning to be like, listen, this is this license, you need this. I've never was giving any warning about this. So you justifying you giving me.
Ms. Alicia, as a property owner, it is your responsibility as a business person to seek out appropriate.
I'm not a business person. First off, you told me this property is an investment property.
Mr. Alicia,
this is not an investment property to me.
Please mute him. Mr. Alicia, we're going to vote on your case. Again, this is not a place to come and argue, and this is not the time to debate. And so what we're going to call the vote on HA-2022-004233, 953 East Westmoreland Street, Anthony Alicia, city affirmed.
City affirmed. I just make one note of caution to Mr. Alicia because he mentioned that there are two either water meters or electric meters on the property. I checked the city files and it appears to be zoned as a single family house if he's going to be using it for more than one family dwelling. Either way, if he's not living in it, he needs a rental license and or a zoning variance for two families. But my vote is city affirmed.
Next vote.
City affirmed.
Thank you.
Affirmed.
City affirmed.
Thank you.
City
Mr.
affirmed.
Tennant, did you vote? You're muted, sir.
City affirmed.
Okay, thank you very much. The vote, Mr. Alicia, is the majority city affirmed. Have a good afternoon. If you want to appeal our decision, you may do that and call the number on the letter that you received with the decision on it, and you can appeal our decision if you choose to. Have a good afternoon. Let's move on to the next matter.
Chairman, at this time, before we proceed to the next matter, I just ask that city's exhibits 1 through 7 be moved into evidence.
So moved.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty, Mr. Wade, what do we have open?
The last case, case 12, hearing appeal HA 2022-004323, 2602 North Jessup, Natasha Walker.
Okay, who's handling that matter?
Good afternoon, Dejanay Davis on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, Natasha Walker, you present.
Service was made and she was in contact with the office throughout these hearings.
Okay, was there positive contact, meaning she was able to get in or not get in?
I haven't seen her arrive and I believe the only unidentified number in the room was a observer.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Davis, service was made. What is your preference?
The city will be requesting city affirmed due to failure to appear.
Okay. The time, Mr. Pincus?
It's 3:34 p.m.
3:34 p.m. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. We will now call for the board with regard to HA-2022-004323, 2602 North Jessup Street, Natasha Walker, city affirmed, non-appearance. Oh, wait a minute. Before the vote continues, Mr. Seiler, that may be your background noise. If you would mute yourself, please.
Sure.
Okay, let's continue to vote.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
Thank you very much. City affirm non-appearance. That's the final vote. Okay, Ms. Davis, you may be excused. As long, Mr. Sally, you may be excused as well.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Do we have anything else? Mr. Wade?
No.
Okay, that represents the last case, and that concludes our business for today. Everyone, have a good afternoon. Unless there's a pressing need, we're going to, Mr. Rauter, are you asking for an opportunity to speak?
No, just saying
Oh,
goodbye.
okay, goodbye. Everyone, have a good afternoon. We will